We have put together countries which we believe desire particular attention by the UN Human Rights Council. And the first of those, many of you could probably guess, if you said, what is the country that's shifted the most when it comes to human rights between 2021 and today? It's Afghanistan.
And let's be honest, the withdrawal that was done by the Biden administration increased the religious persecution and death to Christians and other religious minorities in Afghanistan. And it did so significantly. 2,500 U.S. troops in Afghanistan kept women going to school, religious minorities not being persecuted and killed in the streets. In a matter of months, that changed.
In its 2022 World Watch List report, Open Doors listed Afghanistan as the worst place. Think about that. The worst place for Christians to live in the entire world. Now, if you said, well, it's always been, it was a war zone and we had troops there, but we had 2,500 troops there and girls were going to school. Was it perfect? No. It was never on the number one on this list. In fact, it's the first time in 10 years that another nation has exceeded North Korea's persecution level.
To beat North Korea as the worst persecutor on religious liberty or religious freedom in the world is a big, big statement.
In less than a year, Afghanistan has taken that unfortunate place as the number one worst place in the world to live as a Christian. And I think it underscores the way the withdrawal occurred by the Biden administration and empowering the Taliban has led to this disaster now for Christians living in Afghanistan.
I don't think for one moment President Biden and his team considered the human rights ramifications of the departure. I think they were simply determined to get out willy-nilly, no conditions, just we're going to go, and whatever happens after that, not my problem. I think President Biden hasn't mentioned Afghanistan in months in a formal setting to a group to talk about the things that they're working on. We know there's still Americans and those who supported America who were there. I'm working with a group of folks to try and help get them out.
Yep.
And you're right. Christian persecution in Afghanistan today rivals North Korea. And what's happening in Nigeria to Christians,
yes.
This is one of the most dangerous places in the world for Christians. And the United States has not done its basic duty to do all that it could to protect them.
These reports, Harry, and putting this forward before the Human Rights Council is a very important part of our advocacy for people that really can't speak up for themselves.
The Biden administration has engaged in craven failure after craven failure, from Afghanistan to Iran to Southeast Asia. Whenever there's an opportunity for the Biden administration to show its fecklessness and spinelessness to the entire world, it basically takes advantage of that opportunity. And that is why we have to all be concerned about what's going on in Afghanistan, Nigeria, India, Pakistan, and Burma.
This is a big effort by the American Center for Law and Justice and our European Center for Law and Justice affiliates. We've got multiple teams working on these reports, and we will make oral presentations to the United Nations in just a few weeks.
We speak into voids that the United States government is not speaking in. But Jay, you're right. I mean, this takes a big team to pull off, and I want to get into some of the details in a later segment, but you talk about legal efforts on the ground with our affiliate offices. You talk about advocacy at the United Nations, at the Human Rights Council, and then you talk about taking action, working with partners on the ground to actually make things happen. Jay, takes a lot of people, takes a lot of resources, but again, life and death impact based on these actions that were taken.
We do it at a very different level. We engage it both in writing, because we have offices on the ground in some of these countries, but also in oral interventions. You've done them, I've done them, Thann's done them, we have our team in Strasbourg has done them. It's important to be front and center on that, because what that does is enable us to report firsthand. And what we're doing is getting actual action from this. Yeah, we've had people released from prison because of our advocacy at these levels.
Part of this is when you go to the UN, the Human Rights Council, these countries rotate on and off the council. The U.S. thought it was so corrupt, they left under the Trump administration.
Yep.
Because they weren't doing anything about these specific countries. But what it allows you to do,
in there, though.
You get to name and shame publicly world powers. No other place you can really do that. You can do it on your radio broadcast. That's not our audience, though. These are international actors. You get to go into their home at the UN, where that's their safe space
right.
for a lot of these bad actors, and call them out.